नमस्ते भैया।
नमस्ते भैया।
नमस्ते। आपको स्क्रीन दिखता होगा ना?
हाँ जी भैया, दिख रहा है।
ओके, ठीक है। हाँ, तो ये जो है ना, देयरफॉर व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन, हम लोग वहाँ पर थे। ये जो हमने पढ़ा था, what is the solution? We should focus on educating those who are ready to understand immediately. Through them, we should practice humane education in educational institutions and instill sanskar in children. ये जो है ना, वो बहुत अच्छे से हम लोगों ने उस टाइम पढ़ा था, और हम लोगों को फिर से वापस वही पॉइंट पे आ रहे। संस्कार जो है वो बच्चों के अंदर जाने चाहिए, है ना। संस्कार इज इंस्टिल्ड इन चिल्ड्रन, देयर होम्स एंड फैमिलीज विल नेचुरली अंडरगो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। Thus, there is a need for the humanization of education. Making education meaningful will pave the way for an orderly society, which is our second plan. तो पहले तो एजुकेशन मीनिंगफुल हो जाएगा, एंड दिस विल पे द वे फॉर एन ऑर्डरली सोसाइटी। तो ऑर्डरली सोसाइटी एजुकेशन से ही पहले आएगी। बहुत बढ़िया लिखा है यहाँ पर।
हम्म।
हम्म। The units of material order, biological order, and animal order are complementary to humans. However, humans becoming complementary to them is still under construction. Material order, biological order, and animal order are complementary to humans. ये बहुत सही से लिखा है यहाँ पर, है ना। हर बार हम लोगों को याद किया जाता है ये बात। However, humans becoming complementary to them is still under consideration. मतलब ये बात को हम लोग नहीं समझे हैं। Mhm. Now, this gap must be filled. Only then we will we get the evidence of human living in orderliness. तो ये जो गैप जो है वो क्या है कि हम लोग सिर्फ कंसिडर भी कर रहे हैं, अभी अंडर कंसिडरेशन है, मतलब अभी हम लोग व्यवस्था के साथ नहीं हुए हैं, इसका मतलब ये होता है ना। यूनिट ऑर्डर, units of material order, biological order and animal order are complementary to humans. ये सब हमारी व्यवस्था में शामिल है, ऐसे कह सकते हैं। हाउएवर ह्यूमंस बिकमिंग कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री टू देम इज स्टिल अंडर कंसिडरेशन। हम लोग उसके लिए भागीदारी क्या कर रहे या क्या कर सकते हैं, वो भी अभी तक वो कंफर्म नहीं हुआ है। ओनली देन विल वी गेट द एविडेंस ऑफ ह्यूमन लिविंग इन ऑर्डरलीनेस, है ना। ये सब चीज़ें हैं। ओके। द वैल्यूज ऑफ awakened Jeevan are happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss. Hmm. Human goals are accomplished by realizing Jeevan values. These goals are resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. Okay. तो जो अवेकन ह्यूमन बीइंग है उसके लिए वैल्यूज जो होगी वो हैप्पीनेस, पीस, कंटेनमेंट एंड ब्लिस होगा। इसका भैया यही हो ना, सुख समाधान। नहीं, वो तो नीचे के लिए
हम्म।
हुआ। ह्यूमन गोल्स हो गया।
सुख शांति संतोष आनंद,
हाँ, सुख
ये
समाधान।
जीवन के लिए है। यहाँ
हम्म।
पे जीवन की बात की गई है। इट
हम्म।
दीज आर दैट ऑफ अवेकंड जीवन।
हम्म।
And human is not only Jeevan, rather it is a combination of
जीवन है।
Jeevan and body. So in the
हम्म।
next line,
हाँ।
human goals are accomplished by realizing Jeevan values.
हाँ।
These goals are resolution, prosperity,
हम्म।
fearlessness, and coexistence. So
हम्म।
in the this line, these goals are solution, resolution, prosperity, fearless. These
हम्म।
are the human goals.
हम्म।
The first line was about the Jeevan.
राइट, बढ़िया। और जीवन ये अनुभूति करेगा मतलब शरीर के साथ ही, द बॉडी ओनली
Hmm.
एंड द कॉम्बिनेशन विद द जीवन कैन
Yes.
एक्सपीरियंस दिस।
Yes. Yes.
बढ़िया। ओके। सो
When human goals are evidenced,
हम्म
Jeevan values are also evidenced.
हम्म
So, when we will achieve the human goals, automatically we will achieve the Jeevan values, which
राइट।
are happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss.
राइट। ओके। सो resolution is happiness, or resolution equals to happiness. We realize happiness wherever we are resolved, and we suffer wherever we are unresolved. Thereafter, we realize peace while evidencing resolution and prosperity in the family. Hmm. We realize happiness whenever we are resolved. जब समाधानित हो गए तब हम लोगों को खुशी कह सकते हैं, खुशी की अनुभूति होती है। Happiness is
Hmm.
where we are resolved.
खुशी नहीं, यहाँ सुख बोला है हैप्पीनेस
सुख,
को।
राइट, ओके।
सुख, सुख का अनुभव होगा।
सुख की अनुभूति,
तो
राइट।
पहले फर्स्ट इट हैज बीन क्लियर दैट रिजोल्यूशन इज इक्वल टू हैप्पीनेस,
हम्म।
यानी समाधान ही सुख है।
समाधानी सुख
So
है।
we realize happiness whenever we are resolved. So if we are resolved, we will be happy, and
हम्म।
we will suffer if we are non if we are
नॉट
not resolved.
नॉट रिजॉल्व, राइट।
Thereafter, we realize peace while evidencing resolution and prosperity in the family. So
हम्म
I am resolved to myself is not sufficient. It should
हम्म
be evidenced in the resolution and prosperity in the family also.
हम्म
That is very important. So
राइट।
we realize contentment by living orderly in the society. So the
हम्म
contentment will be achieved if we are able to live in an orderliness in the society.
हम्म
And we
राइट।
realize bliss in the course of evidencing our understanding.
हम्म
The bliss, when we are talking about bliss, is the upper stage of happiness, that is anand. We
हाँ।
realize bliss in the course of evidencing our understanding.
हम्म हम्म
So I was also reading another book today
हम्म
where it is written that simply talking is not enough.
हम्म
Now, if somebody says that has understood certain words and is able to explain others, so
राइट।
okay, am I awakened? The answer is no. Babaji
राइट।
says it should come in our character.
राइट।
It should be in our day-to-day working. If
राइट।
we are able to do that, then
हम्म
only you can say that yes, you are awakened.
हम्म
Otherwise, simply that a person has a knowledge of words is not sufficient. That
हम्म
is a kind of, you can say, तर्क, वो तर्क है। और
हम्म
तर्क और आपके जीवन में नहीं है मान लीजिए,
हम्म
तो फिर वो सब फेल हो गया। that is not sufficient.
राइट।
So it should be evidence, the understanding should be evidenced in the life. So
हम्म
that is very, very important.
राइट। बहुत बढ़िया लिखा है यहाँ पर।
एक एक
और
लाइन मोती है भैया,
हाँ
डायमंड है।
हाँ। So इसमें this means that if we are just full of understanding, and that will not also make us feel the bliss, feel the anand.
हम्म,
So we
हम्म,
would like to evidence the same. So that is also a very interesting concept
हम्म,
of the Jeevan. I think it's in the Jeevan that this is felt. So only the
हम्म,
Jeevan is asking for it to evidence also through the body, and that is very interesting. As
हम्म,
we achieve these goals, understanding becomes ingrained in the human tradition, enabling us to realize happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss respectively. Yes. So when it says respectively, matlab, there is an orderliness to that also. So when we realize it, there is a sequence to it, and then first we will feel happiness, then we'll feel peaceful, then there'll be contentment. Matlab, you will be having more than what you are consuming, and that will also lead you to bliss, which is anand. But very good. Yes,
Mm,
Nilama, you want to ask?
Yes. Bhaiya, it says as we realize these goals and respectively means, I think it is the goals which they are saying is the human goals.
Hmm. Right.
So, That is resolution. When we
Ah.
have resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence, then you will as respectively. So,
Mm.
because it says when human goals are evidence, Jeevan values are also evidence. So, it is in a chronological order
Mm.
that first, as humans, since Bhaiya, Ganesh Bhaiya rightly said, we are a combination of Sharir and Jeevan, that is body and the insatiation part.
Mm.
So, so through you body, we are going to evidence understanding through resolution and then prosperity,
Mm.
which will be felt in the family.
Mm.
And once family and a group of families are resolved and prosperous,
Mm.
automatically there will be an orderliness in society and there will be fearlessness.
Mm.
That's how this all will happen due to coexistence.
Mm. Right.
So, and that's how the understanding the, it will continue
Mm.
to
Yeah.
happen. So I think that respectively is for, I think, the goals.
Right. Right. Yeah. So can we correlate with that? So when it says resolution, it means happiness. So I'll just highlight it one by one. Let's see if we can put it in our minds. Uh, we are we are at resolution, and then that will lead to happiness, right? And then prosperity will lead to peace. Is that what it means? Chronologically, if you are speaking, fearlessness.
Mm, then also we have to see that Jeevan is made of five things. So that is mind, uh, that is man,
Man,
chit,
buddhi, chit.
buddhi, buddhi, and atma.
Hmm.
So uh, then that happiness that is said, the happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss, then is
Hmm.
evidence in those things.
Areas. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That makes sense now. So basically, happiness is in man. Vritti, peace, there is peace in vritti. Uh, there is contentment in chitta. Is that, are we going the right way?
I think
Maybe
the
we have to.
combination of man and chit, since you will then, uh, it goes the reverse way from top to bottom, if
Hmm.
you see.
Hmm.
So the bliss will happen in, it happens in combo, like
Right.
the buddhi will evidence what is happening in Atma through
Hmm.
this thing of called sorry, I'm not getting the word, the Hindi word, if Ganesh भैया can help me out. वो
हाँ
जो
वो
रुद्र और वो जो कहते हैं उस, I think those things have to be correlated to get these things. I think according
hmm.
to me, it's that ways.
That we have to understand the consciousness part, that is the five parts, and every the five the stages are there, like man, vritti, chit, buddhi, and atma. If you start, if the next stage learns from the lower one, then that will be something wrong, which will not
Hmm.
be evidenced. It should be from the top, that the buddhi should listen to the atma, and
Hmm.
the that chit should listen to the
Buddhi.
buddhi, and
Right.
in this sequence we can achieve things.
Right.
I personally feel, Bhaiya,
Hmm.
that the stages of happiness and peace, they will be achieved. And now, how to listen to the atma and how to listen to the buddhi, instead of that, a very simple formula which I have understood, that
Hmm.
the deliberation should be on the basis of justice, orderliness, and coexistence,
Hmm.
instead of priyahit labh. है ना?
Right.
If we can do that,
Hmm.
automatically things will be achieved.
Right.
This
Right.
is, and the five four things we are talking about.
Hmm. Right. Essentially, I have realized one thing is that Babaji has said it also in his talk once, that he saw that existence is in coexistence with everything else, and that's what he saw. Then people started asking him questions that, can you explain it further? So then he wrote this first book, and then he wrote the second book, and then he wrote the third book. So it's according to the deeperness, I would say. And then this is all the summary of all the books, if I'm not getting it wrong. So in order to understand this whole thing, we are having so many words to like bring it up in light to us. But I think ultimately it just means resolution, as Ganesh Bhaiya rightfully said, a resolution. And then we are living in balance and harmony with the rest of existence, and basically with the rest of the order. So this line again is very, very I think crucial. Even if this line can be understood by the normal human beings, right? I mean, this gap must be filled. What is the gap? Where humans are not considering themselves as complementary to the rest of the orders. So that is the, I think, the main thing that until even now, the Adarshvad has also said there is a heaven, that we will go to the heaven. Every religion has said that, there is a hell also. So ultimately, like the earth is becoming like a guest house. Like people just come here, use it as they want to, throw the garbage where they want to, and just leave. That is, I mean, that's the crude way of saying. They come and they live and then they die. But when Babaji has said this, that we are part of the orders, and we are also part, we have to be complementary to the orders. That is a very interesting word. This word in itself is such a heavy and nice way of reflecting to us that where is our gap, because we are not complementing to the rest of the orders, and including the humans also. We consider other humans as our competitors, or as our we don't collaborate with the humans. We are taught to be competitive, we are taught to be having higher marks in our schools, and we are taught to get profits from other human beings. So that ultimately just means that you make your own castle and on the mountain and live on it. And that is what actually what most of the people are who are doing, achieving anything. That's what they do at the end of the day. So
Yes, I just remember one example when we shifted from Mumbai to Kutch and
mm,
we were exploring opportunities here. There was, if you've heard of this Vidya Nature Cure, the chairman had come, such young couple has come to stay in village setup.
mm,
So he wanted to meet us.
mm,
Now he came for half an hour, but since we had also done Jeevan Vidya, so he stayed for 3 hours. He
uh-huh,
wanted to actually convince us that we joined hands with them. But
okay.
I was actually putting forth my idea is that of this what you said collaborating,
Mm,
since it is when two three doctors in a already established institution
mm,
we collab, the resources are effectively used. Otherwise, there
mm,
is one doctor in the same area and there is another doctor who is now coming up.
right,
So there is a competition,
right,
and there is another, he has to set up another clinic for
right,
himself. And
right,
so
yeah,
he has to use that. So the so-called educated people, I feel, are
mm,
also not ready to listen to this in just because they don't want to give away their मतलब जो मान है ना वो नाम से उन लोग बनाते
mm,
हैं they
yeah,
correlate, so they are not able to do that also.
right,
So it's like we want to join, as in you can collaborate and let the other doctors, why there is a competition. So in that way the
mm,
public can get better services at a reasonable rates,
mm, yeah,
and there is no wastage of natural resources, and otherwise there is a competition, ये नहीं तो वो डॉक्टर के पास जाओ.
uh, uh,
So this I'm talking a small village setup of Kutch, and these
mm,
institutions and
yeah,
such people, educate people don't have that. We spoke to many doctors. So just I wanted to know, tell that, share.
uh, yeah.
That, yeah, people are not ready to be
Yeah,
complimentary.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, exactly. I remember when I was traveling to Surat to give this small presentation to the kids there in Dholakya Nirman. When I was traveling from the railway station to the place was so bustling, and so much of infrastructure was there. And also we got to travel to Vadodara when we were going for the Ayurvedic workshops. And I realized that there's so much of development, like every building these high-rise buildings are there. First of all, the beauty of Kutch is that we don't have anything above the third story here. They've started to give permission to build above the third floor because of the seismic activity which is happening in the region of Kutch. But still, if we leave Kutch, we are seeing so many high-rise buildings and apartments, and these high-rise buildings also have high-rise shops and clinics and all these kind of things. So one just wonders, like, is it necessary? Do they even get business? Like, there's so many of them in just lines. Like, there's a building, there is a hospital, there is a so and so clinic there. Then just in the next building, the same thing. It's like I don't understand how they're getting their daily meals even, because people will get confused and just walk into the first place that they look, and it's like positioning. And sometimes जैसे कहा ना, अगर आपने मान के हिसाब से, or maybe you are getting clients because of some other reasons or some other ways of advertisements or word of mouth. That's how you get the client the best, I think. But my point is also again that so much burden is given to the resources, extraction of the things and all those kind of where the machines are almost idle. Even for example, the cars, even the most idle state right now. Our own car is just catching rust, and whenever we have to leave, we have to literally wash the car so that we can use it. And I'm just like worried. I'm paying the insurance, I'm paying the damages, the battery is the lead battery gets dissolved. So padi padi cheeze sar rahi hai literally. So yeah, this is because we're not understanding orderliness. We are not able to share our things. Because there is also a fear that something bad will happen with our resources. That's another thing, because we don't know how the other person is, because they are not resolved, they are not in orderliness. They will maybe misuse it and then give it or leave it the way it is. So once everybody is in orderliness, then I think there is a beautiful music that will happen, where somebody, even if something wrong happens to it, they will take the responsibility and they will fix it, even if that's the case which it comes to. But right now, what is the situation is that everybody wants to have their things. This is instilled by the education system, and that is again if infused with competitive nature, and that again just gives the person in the rat race, and the extortion of the resources keeps on happening year on year. Um, we are now listening to the wars going to be stopped, but then now Ukraine has to cough up the money by giving their land to the Americans for them to dig. And his new word is now dig, dig, dig. That's the one that Trump is, he's he's a kind of person just gets those funny slogans along, and I just like to catch on to it and just show what Brahmit Jeevan can do. You know, first it was drill, drill, drill. Now it's dig, dig, dig for him. It's like that is almost like what he's doing is so cartoonish to us, because we are so into it that आप उसको खुदाई करोगे वहां पर, just because so that you have to be get paid for the war that had happened in the first place. The Americans helped the war to happen in the first place. Now to pay up the debt, the president changes. Now we have to pay back the money for the war, that the weaponry that they were given, the Ukrainians were given, with the land given up to the Americans for their minerals and lithium and all this kind of things. So it was just amazing to see what kind of uncomplementariness we have with the earth itself, where we are living, where we are standing on, and it is just a very foul way of dealing it with it. I mean, it's high time that even the leaders become at least एक शिविर तो होनी चाहिए ये लीडर्स की, मुझको तो ऐसा लग रहा है. 100 and how many countries are there? I don't know, 190 countries or something like that. Might be
Hmm.
one or two more, the way the everything is just breaking apart. But ये कंट्रीज के प्रेसिडेंट्स, ये कंट्रीज के लीडर्स को एकजुट होकर के कम से कम दे शुड गेट टू नो द थ्री ऑर्डर्स एंड द फोर्थ ऑर्डर, द ह्यूमन. Then you can do what your presidency wants to do. That's what I think, that would be the suggestion, the best thing to do actually
So,
going
Bhaiya,
forward.
what you are talking, the funny part is
Uh,
they don't want to stop the war. They say, okay, you give this thing to us, and we
mm,
shall then give you security, or we shall give you, in other words, we will give you arms and ammunition.
uh,
So you see the funny stage, they don't want to stop the war.
mm,
So
yeah,
how can we say that they are resolved? They are
correct.
not at all resolved. So what the example they are putting in front of the younger generation?
Yeah,
The younger generation is learning from them.
Right.
Yes, very rightly you have put this particular point, that yes, they have not put up a very good example in
Mm,
front of the younger generation, in front of the children
mm,
who want to live, who want to enjoy, who want to have the feeling of peace. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants that his or her home should be destroyed. Nah?
mm,
So I think a better effort could have been that let us let us stop this war, nah?
mm.
And come
Yeah.
to some resolution. That should be the idea.
I think, Bhaiya, that's the biggest problem is none of them know the right thing. I think if they knew the right thing, they would force onto it. Not force onto it, but to apply that, first thing. Second thing, they are fearful. Because again, Ukraine itself is fearful that if the military powers or weaponry is taken away by the Americans, then he will come and kill us. He is saying that the Ukrainian president is in front of the camera saying that I need security because if I go back and not give the security to my soldiers, Putin will come and kill my soldiers or their families or anything like that. So now it's all about fear now. The fear is instilled into them and they're just holding onto the arms so that they can feel secure. They have done something in the first place, although they are saying that they were attacked, but there are so many reasons that they were attacked because they were going to join NATO and all those kind of things, which Russia did not want. But the point is that none of them are knowing the orderliness, first thing. Second thing, Bhaiya, you said about the kids is that I also want to emphasize here that three things will happen, according to me. First thing, the kids that are smart, either they will become good politicians and good places, they will choose the right places to sit and do the right thing, or they will get depressed, and they will literally like disconnect with the world. They will just maybe live a lonely life and just maybe be the minimalistic rather than the most flowering person, or they could be, they will be depressed. So two things. And then the third thing is they will keep on going the way it is with the flow, which the flow is in the wrong way, which is disorderliness. And ultimately they will at the end of the dying time, they will realize that they have done and gathered so much, and they have lost the family and they have lost the relationships and all this kind of thing. So only three ways I am seeing the way it is possible. The one is the right way, by educating themselves by evolution and their own Jeevan's evolution. The second is breaking this all these things and disconnecting with it, which is a sad thing. And the third thing was also sad because ultimately it will lead to a lonely person who is having all the resources but doesn't know what to do with it, and is also hated by all of the rest of the people, which is actually the case right now. Everybody who has the most resources, who has a little bit more resources, is always hated by the rest of the population.
But yeah, the beauty of it, if you just go through these two, three paragraphs, it is also saying that, you know, every human being knows I mean, doesn't know, I mean, they don't realize it, but they have that Jeevan Mulya, that is the
Ah,
said, the
right,
Jeevan goal. They
right,
want that.
right.
Okay, it's just that the human goals are not properly told to them. And also,
Mm,
I think what plays now, these major countries who are actually overpowering and stuff, which I feel is it's
mm.
also the philosophy that they follow. The
Yeah,
belief system is that there is no life birth again, you know,
right,
you don't have any
exactly,
reincarnation of the body.
right.
So they feel जो है अभी भोग लो, we have this, तो
Mm,
क्या नुकसान क्या
mm.
होगा, you
One
know.
life to live. Yeah.
Yeah, one life to live. So I think those philosophy is there, or the second one is also that we are buried, whatever will happen on the last day,
Mm.
someone will do our
Probably.
judgment. And
Uh,
so these philosophies which are there, it is just
mm,
philosophies. I think someone
mm,
uh, to realize themselves have come up with these philosophies, but it is not done so deeply. And that is why people came from other worlds to India, because they realize that
mm,
knowledge is being understood by the Indians. So of course I
mm,
think people, there were invasions because of that, because India was enriched with that thing, you know.
mm. Yeah.
So they try to kill that knowledge.
Mm,
Otherwise, if that knowledge would have been transpired through generations,
mm,
uh, things would have been different, and they would
Mm.
no longer have that powerful hands. I think this is just the conspiracy funda which I believe could have
But
happened. But
but
yes,
having
Jeevan Mulya, the Jeevan goal, I think everyone would have. Hmm.
okay. But that it can be argued also that they came and broke something. But ultimately, if we look at it, Babaji has always said that the coexistence was not felt neither with Adarshwad and with materialism. So I would argue that what they did was actually sort of not the good thing, but they did something that was in line with evolution, if that does not hamper it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings. Because what I'm saying is that had we continued the line of idealism, we still would have the people and the play pad and man pad ke liye wo pad ke liye fight karte the kings would be governed by the people who are in idealism, and then they had to follow the orders of the king, orders of the priest, or orders of the church, or orders of the priest, and all these kind of things. That was happening in England also, that was happening in India also, I think. Because most of this idealistic highest idealistic states or counties were actually governed by kings or rajas, which are guided by these mystics. And that way, what the orderliness was there at that time was that only the vansh of the raja were given the right knowledge, or at least the highest knowledge, not the right knowledge, the highest knowledge. And the ones who were in the lower domains, they were just subjects, and they were just used, and they had to do as the king said. And the king was also guided by the mystic or idealistic person. So whatever happened, I mean, I cannot say for a fact, but it is evolution that has happened. I can just conclude from this. Evolution तो हुआ है सब चीज़ों का, और अच्छे के लिए हुआ है. It has happened for the good, I would say that. Just like the dinosaur being wiped out just because they were cold-blooded animals and the earth was covered with dust for 3 to 4 months when the asteroid hit the earth, and then the warm-blooded creatures survived, and then when the dust was there in the space for so many months, the sunlight was not coming on the earth because there were so clouds of dust. Then the creatures which had the cold blood, basically the reptiles and the dinosaurs, they all died off. So that was in orderliness. Only the warm-blooded mammals and all those things survived, and we are they are the generation that carried forward, and we are the outcome of that. So yeah, I mean, that would be self-evidence in itself that whatever happens happen for the good. So yeah.
Ah, very rightly, Bhaiya, you have said.
Mm,
Most of the time we boast about our own religion, our own idealism. But
mm,
Babaji has said that what the idealism has given is the words only.
mm.
Otherwise, the concept is wrong. The concept that Brahma is Satya and
जगत
और
मिथ्या.
हाँ जगत मिथ्या है, वो कॉन्सेप्ट ही गलत है.
Mm,
और सारा वेद उसी के ऊपर लिखा हुआ है. All Vedas
right,
are full of that.
right.
And I say, I
Mm,
say, you see,
mm,
when the Veds have been written around 500 BC,
mm,
it
mm,
was that time they were written. And it
mm,
is sad that they have written on the oral knowledge of 1000 years. So they are
mm,
taking it from 500 BC to 1500 BC.
mm.
Now, how can you say that whatever has been transpired orally will be
Right,
correct? There are
right,
so many questions.
right.
Now, and if you see the oldest generation, it is not ours only.
Mm,
Many people say that Sanatan Dharma is the best one. I
mm,
say when Sanatan originated, as
mm,
per the Vedas, 500 BC or 1000 BC or whatever is written there,
mm,
are there even older manuscript found in other part of the world? The answer is yes. You see,
mm,
in Egypt, there are things literature which has been found, which is 3000 BC old, and that has also been deciphered. The
mm,
important thing is that is deciphered in the Indus Valley civilization.
mm.
Whatever is written, that is not deciphered. So that
Right.
there is we can't say that we were the richest, we were the best.
Mm,
I don't want to go into that discussion at all. Now
right.
the thing is, what whosoever is richest, whosoever has the best
Mm,
literature,
mm,
whether we got the right way to live, yes or no.
right.
The answer comes yes. Before that, we were not able to find the right way of living.
Mm,
Now in Madhya's Darshan, a
Mhm.
right way of living has been indicated. है ना?
Right.
It
Yeah.
says that it is totally on the humanity who has to become complementary, who has to understand the coexistence. So this is
Mhm.
the most beautiful part we are now understanding. And
Right.
it is, you see, written by the person who has studies Vedas for 20 years, at least,
Mhm.
even more than that.
Right.
So I'm very much happy while I
Mhm.
am reading these things. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic thing we have got where we
Mhm.
can improve our life and we can be complementary to other things.
Right, right. I just want to add one last thing that me and Shalini were talking about this, and it was quite apparent to me, just it clicked onto me that there was some discussion at Janak Raja's Darbar, and they were going to talk about Brahma Vidya. And in that discussion, a lot of Vidwans were called on how to take the Vidya ahead for the next, basically to make a tradition of it, right? So we're talking about tradition since the word came upon. I just want to point out this thing. And at that point, a lot of hustle and bustle happened, and there could not be any sort of right way of writing it down or something like that. And after that, no sort of sabha has been made, or no sort of event has been made to discuss all these things. So ब्रह्म विद्या के लिए एक प्रयोजन किया गया था उस टाइम पे, एंड उस टाइम पे एक प्रॉब्लम हो गया कि सब लोग फाइट करने लगे. एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड फाइटिंग, देन सेइंग देयर थिंग इज राइट, their way is right. So again, we are seeing that in this darshan, there is such a cool and calm way of taking it, and we are trying to find the wrongness in it, but we can't find it. Even the people who have joined it, I would say the Pathak ji, Surendra Pathak ji is the best critic, because he was into journalism. He knows a lot of books and all these things. But in his talks, once I remembered, he said that after reading the darshan deeply, उसके अंदर कुछ ठहर गया. मतलब is his jigyasa got resolved. Now imagine we are who we are. I mean, I'm not taking any sort of higher post, but I'm saying that if a person like him can say that I got resolved, and he is a person who has done journalism, he is the person who dedicated his life into criticizing the way the books, and he has read a lot of material. Who are we to say कि हाँ we are also better than him? But look at him. Let's look at him and see that he has also come up with this point and saying that मेरे अंदर कुछ ठहर गया ये दर्शन को पढ़ते हुए. And he has dedicated his whole life to this. And even in the mornings he comes, even in the daytimes and all these things, I'm seeing that he's going to take shivers also, and he's writing this book also. So a lot of evidence we can see that when somebody is resolved, what kind of impact it brings into a person's life. And I rightfully just want to conclude that Jeevan Vidya, that was Brahma Vidya, that had the issues, and a lot of people, because there was the conflict of pad, na, conflict of position. A lot of gurus wanted to have their thing going on, so that never materialized, that never succeeded. So let's hope the Vidya of Jivan, which is the how uh, the soul connected with the man vritti chit buddhi is connected with the Jivan, and how that knowledge, how that Vidya can be taken forth, and that is been taken forth by Babaji, and is how we just have to evidence it. I think that's the part that we have to play, and that is through just knowledge transfer, knowledge understanding, being wise, as we said in the previous episodes, that we have to be wise, and that's the only way is adhyan, the only way is gathering knowledge by discussing it, by reading it, and these kind of factors. Yes. Anybody else would like to read? We have both Shriyansh and Shivangi.
Okay, otherwise I can read, no issue.
हाँ ठीक है भैया.
Uh,
I'll read.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
हाँ
great.
Shivangi.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Jeevan possesses inexhaustible strengths and powers. Therefore, once resolution is attained, we can continuously manifest and evidence it. While the fulfillment of Jeevan remains intact, Jeevan's state activities are in the form of strengths and its motion activities are in the form of powers. The motion activities are evidenced in their mutuality with one another. The state activities of Jivan are released within oneself. We realize whether or not became satisfied with all that we tasted, and whether or not we reached a definite conclusion from all the deliberation we did. So I think this is talking about uh, जो जीवन की स्थिति और गति है.
Right.
स्थिति the state and gati meaning uh, the motion, what he's
Mm.
saying.
Mm.
There is an inexhaustible strength in a Jeevan. Therefore, oh, once that resolution is attained, we can easily manifest it, and it will naturally come into our activities and our behavior, and
Mm.
therefore we can view that as an evidence.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's quite it's quite evidencing also in our small ways also. I'll just in fact I just mentioned it before, so I'll not mention it again. But yeah, when you are resolved, you keep taking track of all the small little things and small little parts of the material order and the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, how we are supposedly partly and integrated with it. Simple things like recycling and not polluting the earth, it becomes your priority because you are living on the same planet, right? So there's no point of consuming so much that you leave behind a lot of wastage also. So yeah, little things start, your activities start to change, your consumption starts to change. We start seeing that we are for the right things, be it in the products also. We start looking at the things that are more benefiting to us, to our health. And we even I think we can do an experiment. The algorithm that works for the Jeevan Vidya Parivar is completely and totally different to the algorithm that is working for the normal people, because sometimes the way I see it, that the beauty of AI is that it gives you what you are consuming more. So ultimately, if you are resolved in your head, right, you will look or you will consume that kind of content, and that is the kind of content which will keep on coming to you also. So you are also getting enriched by it. So sometimes it's argued that people who are of the new age, they are going to be sick with the screen time or something like that. But I would actually argue it the other way. Of course, you don't need to keep the screen in front of you, but maybe you should be focused on to listening to this kind of talks where there is a quest of intelligence within you. It is and feeding your intelligent quotient, and you are getting it at a higher and higher stage. Because I know that for a fact that when I was small, I used to read, actually not read, but I was used to listen to a lot of programs and that used to come on the shortwave. We used to have the shortwave radios at that time. And then because of the dramas and those short plays that I used to get to listen to in my young age, I have a very good grip of the English linguistics. And in that sense, I realize now how that short period of time, like 5 to 6 years that I spent listening to those dramas, how it has impacted my life also, my way of thinking, my way of cognitive interrelatedness, and how I keep my memory sharp. And this is also very few children are getting this also in that sense, because um, the algorithm, as I said, it keeps on feeding you what you have started to look at. And if by chance it is not in line with resolution, then you will start seeing those kind of things where there are small fights. I've sometimes seen that in YouTube also, where there are small children fighting, then there's somebody's video clip that, so that is there. Then you see one fight, then you see the second fight, and it keeps on feeding you those kind of things. So I don't know why I'm pointing out to this thing, but I'm saying is that the Jeevan being resolved is very important. Otherwise, what artificial intelligence is doing, it is started to do already with this algorithms, is it feeds us what we have first looked at or secondly looked at, and then we keep on looking at, then the algorithm clicks, okay, this person likes this kind of stuff, let me feed him or her this kind of stuff. So yeah, Jeevan Vidya Parivar, I'm sure and I'm very convinced that they have a very different way of looking at things, and it's the right way of looking at things. And I think uh, we are trying to do this kind of small programs with the essay and all these kind of things to bring to light to kids to what to kind of things to look at and what to kind of things to make as content. है ना? I think it went off topic, but I thought to just add to that part. Basically, I have a vivid memory which is not cohesive, it's scattered. So I just link a couple of things which are very far off. But I think, yeah, it's a diversified memory which I just wanted to share that thing, that why is it so that some people or some kids will have a wrong way of looking at it, the world, because they are fed that kind of thing continuously. But if they are resolved, they'll not be even given that thing, and that's what we need to focus on. But yeah.
I have something to add on this, if may I please.
Yes, yes.
Uh, like we said that algorithm feeds it that way. I think some one way or other, families also feed the children those things, right?
Hmm.
Because whatever the parents have the thought process, we will see in any household that
Hmm.
whatever thought process the parents have, that same process will be with the child as well, right?
Hmm.
I mean, one or the other parent will be dominating. Maybe father's thought process will be dominating, or mother's thought process would be dominating. But
Hmm.
the thought processes the parents have specifically at the time of pregnancy, also for women, and
Hmm.
at the time after the childbirth as well, in the process of upbringing the child as well.
Hmm.
The way the parents think, I think that's the same way children start thinking.
Right.
So, not only in these social medias or AI algorithms, I think the I won't say major impact nowadays, because nowadays the major impact is of AI only. Obviously, like social media platforms and everything other than parents and household,
Right.
major impact is that. But again, that seed
Right.
a child has in his brain
Hmm.
is, according to me, I guess it's from parents only. Like whatever they are thinking, they are feeding that same thought process to the children.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because I remember that my mom used to say to me that when she was pregnant, she used to go to the cinemas to look at movies. Now, in that movies, most of the time at that time there were songs being played, and there was emotion, heightened emotion movies. Those movies where the woman was subjected to sort of pain, and that was okay for the woman to take, and all those kind of things. So I realized that this has played a lot of roles into my upbringing also. I have connected with music also in a very deep level, although I don't know a lot of music in the sense that the ragas and all those things, but I can identify, and I can know the tunes basically. I don't know how I know that, but I know the tunes. Okay, this song goes with that song, and this is which rag I don't know, but I know that that song goes with that song, and it's the same tune. So I can recognize the tunes from a small age, and I can catch the rhythm also of the things. And,
yeah. I
and
I am seeing the same thing at my home right now. What used to happen? My bhabhi was pregnant, so she used to listen to this song Achyutam Keshavam. Okay,
Mm,
now my niece is like 5 months old, but
mm,
we put that song in the phone, and she calms herself. That song calms herself.
mm,
She gets calmed down by that song. So I
mm,
think, yeah, this is really big thing to focus on, I should
mm.
say, or maybe talk about maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, Mahendra Bhai has just recently said in one of his talks that the highest what can be achieved technologically. I mean, let's not forget that biology is also a kind of technology. The highest which can be achieved technologically is a human body. There's nothing highest than that, and we have not even looked into how it functions and how it operates. We are not even there.
Right.
The right foods are there, or the right
Mm,
of sort of exercises needs to be done by a human body. We are just half at everything that we are doing in terms of knowing something, right? So
yeah.
it's very crucial that we sort of get ourselves equipped with this sort of knowledge, and indeed pass on the traits as traditions with evidence, and evidence in the sense with logic, because as I said before, that everything happens for the evolution of the right kind, and today's generation is quickly leaving what even the parents have been teaching them, which is a good thing in my mind. I think that's a rightful thing also, because I've seen generations of our parents, even if you can ask to them, or even their parents, that they never went against their parents decisions, and that
Mm,
they have lived their lives in maybe detriment, maybe good life also, doesn't matter. But the point being is they were not having any choice in their lives as such. And
Hmm.
now what we are having is a sort of a freedom of social media, of the news and the entertainment and the movies and all this kind of thing have a lot of freedom. But
Yes,
at the
the
same,
exploration we have got is way too big. Our
yeah,
parents, मतलब I would say कि कहीं ना कहीं पे संस्कारों ने शायद हमारे पेरेंट्स को दबा के रखा था.
yeah,
So that even if a person is thinking right, but those
mm,
sanskar were so highly inculcated in them
mm,
that नहीं, my parents never used to do this, so I won't do this.
right,
But us, I mean, our generation or the generation which is next to us, and then the next generation,
right,
we have been given the opportunity to explore ourselves, our thought processes from our
mm,
parents as well, and
mm,
from the world as well.
right.
Because of the AI transformation, it is
The
so big,
internet,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yes, internet is so big nowadays. I mean,
yeah,
children not only before borning, they are
yeah.
in their mother's womb, and mother is using the phone. So
Mm.
uh,
Mhm.
this AI has done a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is very, very sensitive an issue, but I think it's high time that we get the right things onto the media and onto the platter, if that makes sense. Because if we are
Yes.
serving the wrong kind of things, then that goes into the system, and
Mm.
nobody knows what's the right thing to do. Uh,
Exactly.
everybody is searching for the things, and then they are searching, and their searching comes to an end with something which is entertaining, because
Mm.
the brain is lazy and doesn't want to do shram. It's evidence that in a lot of places, and Babaji has also said that it will do the shram to have the relaxation, basically. I think in India,
Right.
what does they say? um s- uh,
Yeah, so I think I saw it on Instagram only. So
mhm,
there is this wake, bake, and meditate kind of thing which is going on right now. Okay, within few countries and in India also, it is getting popular these days. So wake and bake means bake is specifically used for smoking up as in weed. Okay,
mhm,
so I mean, if you leave the platform, right? If you leave the children to the platform
right.
in front of a child, it is the right thing because
Ah,
सब पूरी दुनिया कर रही है, ये कहाँ
right.
गलत है?
The peer pressure
And
comes in. Yeah.
yeah, let's not say peer pressure only. कहीं ना कहीं पे खुद के मन में भी आ जाता है कि यार जब सभी कर रहे हैं तो फिर ये कैसे ही गलत हो सकता है, राइट?
Mm.
कनाडा में दिस इज लीगल,
Right.
जर्मनी में इट इज लीगल नाउ, एम्स्टर्डम में इट इज लीगल. सो और इलीगल तो इतना एक्सट्रीमिटीज पे बढ़ रहा है आगे कि उसको लोग
Mm.
लीगल करने के लिए पीपल आर प्रोटेस्टिंग अगेंस्ट इट नाउ.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
this social media is actually giving us the exploration, just not with the right content.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I actually know a personal friend of mine who lives in the UK. I've not mentioned the name, but she has two kids, and one of them has gotten into this kind of rift where the
Hmm.
police had to come knocking on the door at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they took away the child, and the child was something like 16 years old. And
Hmm.
he was convicted in juvenile crimes because he was with a sort of a gang. Now, what happened is one of the gang members had stabbed somebody, and he was allegedly mentioned that he is part of that gang. So you can imagine what's happening. A 16-year-old having the life ahead of him, yet he is stuck with these kind of things where he is wanting to feel something or closeness or oneness with something that may be or may not be happening with the parents or with the schools or whatever, but they want to feel contributing to something. That's why they actually go join the gangs. They want to contribute, they want to feel part of something, they want to add to something. And this is how the gangs actually start happening at such a young age. And yeah, they found maybe a little bit of weed on him, all these kind of things, and that they are detaining him, and it's a really big hassle after that. And again, a UK.
Somewhere,
Hmm.
yes, please continue. I'll add on later.
Yeah, so just again, and she is lost. The mother does not know what to do. We are trying to figure it out how we can think. Me and Charlie, we try to discuss these kind of things, but ultimately the environment has to change. I think that's the most
Hmm.
important part.
Yes,
And
sometimes children get into all of these things because of the rebel nature as well, I would say.
uh,
Because if they are not getting things at home and they
right,
are getting those things done outside the home,
right,
so one way or other, the children start rebelling.
Mm.
Fine, if you can't do this for me, I'll do it for me myself. And that
Mm.
myself, when that myself is not given the proper knowledge or the proper, uh,
Mm.
b- yeah, knowledge only. If the
Mm.
myself, that part is not in the right track, they
Right.
can actually destroy the generation,
Right.
and they can actually make the generation as well.
Right. Right. I just want to add one more story, that because this is so much linked with the teachers, I found it very interesting when we had I had an occasion to meet a very good scholar in Kukma. They had this pottery event going on, right? And there were kids from our um, school that they were coming to learn farming and basically organic farming. So there was a time where they were given for these kids to sit with a potter. Now the potter was a very good lecturer from Delhi. Somewhere I'm not remembering everything detail, but I'll just tell you the story what happened. So these kids were very playful. They wanted to do a lot of things, and this teacher was such a good guide to them. I was just inspired and amazed by the way how he handled all those kids. Some 15 kids had come from this university, Lok Bhartiya University, right? And they were just playful at all the time, and they were not wanting to learn. And I also had my heart with them. But he told the kids, gave them a piece of clay, and told them to close their eyes and make a round dish. Now, see, at that point of time, I was amazed that they had closed their eyes and they were given a task to make a dish which was the round, and the best round will get the points. Something like that. He said something. The best dish will get the clap of congratulations. And the kids were into it. And these kids are 15 and 16 years olds, probably even older than that. I think that's the age basically. So they had come on vocational education, and that's the second part was that they had to make a so yeah, the ending of that thing is that he could control the kids like that. The kids were involved, they were so focused, they made the dishes with the clay, with the eyes closed, and saw each other's dishes, and they started making fun, and they started having their fun. And then the next day I went to them, he was wanting to make a an oven, and then he showed them what is teamwork, and then he started to say that, look, one of you has to bring those bricks here and put it here. And so everybody started to bring the brick, and then to like just one by one. And then he said, look, you can make a chain and you can give the brick to another one, and then you can bring it here. So then they started doing that, and then he said himself, you make the gap wider so that it can come at a longer distance. So they started throwing the brick at each other, and they had the fun with that. And but my point is that the teacher has to be so creative and constructive as to what kind of activity we need to do with this kind of youth and generation of ours, because we have the energy, we don't have the direction. So that's a very dangerous combination because it's like a car which does not have a brake, as you said, the teenage and all this kind of thing. So definitely the teacher has to be the right implementer of this kind of things. I'm not comparing the human body with a car, but I'm just trying to give an example of what happens when the hormones are so high and you don't give the right material to digest for them, or don't give them right challenges, or don't give them the right information and education. It all boils down to them becoming looking for it outside, maybe in the social media, maybe in the gangs, or maybe in the vaping and all this kind of smoking, this kind of things that they do. So
Right, because these days what is happening is the education has become a business.
hmm,
People are not educating to educate, they are educating to earn. So in
hmm,
order to earn, you do anything, right? Whatever is making your task easy, you choose that and you do that. So this laziness only, I would say, because every teacher have got brilliant ideas, because every human has got brain, right?
right,
So, but because it is just a way of income for them and not a way
right,
of living a lifestyle,
hmm,
they have made it in a way कि जाना है जो किताब में है उतना बताना है कभी
hmm,
बताना है कभी नहीं बताना है and they'll come back
hmm,
home because they are getting their salaries. I mean, we see it.
right.
I should not use this here on the platform which we are going to
See,
use
all
it
of
on.
us are teachers. I have taught. I know what it is. The periods start getting smaller and smaller. First, they were 1 hour periods. Now they
Yes.
have day schools. Then they went to
Mhm.
45 minutes. Now I think it's 35 minutes or something like that.
35 minutes only, and teachers are also not even very eager to teach. They are just eager to finish the course. They are not eager to
They
teach
have
the
to.
course.
It's
Yeah.
so intense, and there's so many mock tests now. We before we just had three
Yes.
exams in the whole year. Now I think we have
Right.
6 or even 8 of them. We have small
8 of
tests,
them,
class
yes.
tests, and we can Friday tests and all this kind of things.
Right.
So there is no sort of classification of what is right and wrong. First thing, second thing, we are just divulging what has been written by the colonial times, and those things are just basically making you into a croc, gear system, fitting you,
Right.
making you ready. So that is also outdated. Nobody is getting that part, and even
Hmm.
if people like us who get it, we don't know what to do and how to do it. So
Hmm.
it's a very very interesting time. I would say that people are actually like us are trying to get their thing sorted out, that we have to be educated ourselves, we have to be knowledgeable ourselves, we have to be wise ourselves. And
Hmm.
at the same time, we have a challenge that is look in front of our eyes. We are seeing the fire is taking over, and our kids are getting onto this all these wrong type of paths. But only thing we can do is sharpen ourselves.
Yes, because of the education system, because the India had the best education system as far as I mean, as much as I've read about earlier times and everything. But
Mm,
now we are calling them special schools. The
mm,
sole nature of Indian schools, we are calling them special schools because the Western culture has impacted the school system so much
mm,
that I read this post on Instagram only
mm.
that children who used to be the toppers of class are now either the engineers or the most devastated people in the
Yeah,
generation
right.
because they are doing nothing. I mean,
Mm,
they haven't grown themselves. Their mind has not been grown enough that they can,
mm,
make a living out of anything. And those who, the kids which are backbenchers, they are
mm,
now the businessmen and they are doing great on earth and for human society
yeah,
because they were able to develop themselves out
mm,
of this course as well. They were
yeah.
able to develop themselves. So I think it is a big quote I would say on Instagram also. Things are happening. It's
Mm,
just that it is not happening on a wider level because people are more diverted towards the negative areas
mm,
instead
mm,
of grasping the positive aspects out of things. They are more diverted towards the negative areas. Even if
mm,
I think about myself also, I am
mm,
also somebody that whose first thought would be negative. Anything
mm,
it is, my first thought would be nay, and
mm.
then I'll procrastinate and then I'll think about it. No, 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 let's do this. Let's what will happen if we do this? Then I
But see,
procrastinate. And
yeah, we are out of time, but still, I want to add this because the environment is as such. If you see yourself as to being waking up every day and expecting some normalcy or some orderliness, you would obviously definitely want to contribute towards that. That's my
right.
point. The
Hmm.
environment is making us suppressed, depressed, and obliged to think like that negatively.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. It is
Yeah.
actually the environment, and that's what we need to
Yes,
sort of
yes.
work on actually.
Bhed chal wala jo system, if we say no,
Mm,
it's just bhed chal that everybody wants to become an engineer or a doctor or a CA or a CS. After,
mm,
except that, people are not thinking big enough for other people. I mean, your friends
mm,
are not thinking about ki, nahi, nahi, you're doing something. Nahi, nahi. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. And that not doing anything actually affecting people in such a bad manner that then they are ready to do anything.
yeah.
And when you get ready to do anything,
Mm,
that actually impacts you in a very, see, sometimes it can impact you in a very positive way, but then
mm,
majorly it impacts you in such a negative way that
mm.
anything can actually make you kill a person as well, make you a murderer as well,
Yeah,
or it can make you a sant as well. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just not getting a scholar as well.
right.
So
The previous generations were also in that same boat, na? They were hunters and they were getting the trophies. They killed the lions for their skin or the trophies. They're collecting the heads of the animals with the trophies. So much
right.
inhumanity was there at that
Hmm,
time also.
hmm,
So I
hmm,
think
hmm,
it's yeah, no direction was there. A lot of speed was there. It's
hmm.
even in the older generation in the past also. They never had the direction. They were just like
Right.
the once the gun was available to everyone, every raja wanted a gun, and every
Hmm,
raja
hmm.
to go out and hunt and all this kind of thing. So no direction was there at all. So
Yes.
Hmm.
yeah, I
Bhaiya,
believe we are in a gold mine actually. Yes, bhaiya.
in the end, I can say that
Huh.
instead of getting affected or impacted by the wrong environment, which is
Mm.
in a large quantity around us, let us do small activities where
Right.
we can impact the environment.
Yeah.
It may be
Yeah.
a small activity, but yes, we are impacting the environment. So
Yeah.
if that
Yes.
is the yes the resolution, things will keep on changing.
Right. We do the small things often. I think that's the best way. The right things on a small way and often. We do it often. I think that will cover up a lot of things. Yes, so we have to join all the groups. It was a great discussion, I believe. Even Ganesh bhaiya confirmed that. बहुत बढ़िया. Chalo, we'll meet again tomorrow. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Night.
Good night. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.